From Sydney's schools to Canberra's Parliament House, the country's institutions are facing a reckoning. Government staffer Brittany Higgins sparked national debate with the allegation she was raped by a colleague on a couch in a minister's office.
There is a strange culture of silence.
Jenny and I spoke last night and she said to me, you have to think about this as a father first.
It shouldn't take having children to have a conscience.
Since that scandal broke, the Attorney-General, Christian Porter, has made an emotional public denial of rape allegations dating back to the 1980s when he was 17.
The things that are being claimed to have happened did not happen.
Frank Zumbo, the advisor of MP Craig Kelly, also denies allegations of inappropriate behaviour towards young female interns working at the electorate office.
He looked at my Instagram and he said, I saw a photo of you at your formal, you looked absolutely beautiful.
Meanwhile, thousands of school students continue to share stories of assault in an online petition, some as young as 13.
I was told that the same perpetrator of my sexual assault did the same thing to one of my friends a year later.
Such cases have landed with the New South Wales Sex Crimes Squad. Detective Superintendent, thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks, Leigh.
I just wanted to rattle through some of the stories that have been in the news first of all. If we could start with the case of Craig Kelly's staffer, Frank Zumbo. Where's the New South Wales Police investigation up to on that?
Look, at the moment it's a live investigation and it's certainly being managed by the Central Metropolitan Region. At this stage, investigators are making some further inquiries around information that's been put to them.
Any sort of timeline as to when there would be an outcome one way or the other in that?
Not at this stage, no.
Another high-profile matter is the historic rape allegation against the Attorney-General. Is the New South Wales police case closed, just for clarity, because she withdrew the complaint or because the complainant is now dead, or both?
Because she withdrew the complaint, our policy is that we always adhere to victims' wishes. So at that point in time, she had written to my investigators at the Child Abuse and Sex Crimes Squad and indicated that she didn't wish to take the matter any further. Now, we were hopeful that that may continue, but at that point, she chose to have the matter closed at that point.
Are cases ever pursued in sex crimes where a complainant is deceased?
You need admissible evidence to put that before a court, and in this case, unfortunately, there was no admissible evidence to put forward to a court matter.
Broadly speaking, not specifically in relation to that case, even when a complainant is alive, how unusual is it for historic sexual violence allegations to proceed to charges?
Difficult question, and obviously every case differs, but certainly the New South Wales Police, we look at everything that we have in terms of evidence and corroborating that particular evidence, whether, and listen to the victim in terms of what they would like to do with the matter. But certainly prima facie is what we need to ensure that the matter is put before the court and that the accused is put before the court.
On another issue in the news, you met late last week with New South Wales school principals after a young woman's online post led to thousands of others coming forward with allegations of sexual violence by their peers. What's happening in relation to that?
Look, it was a very positive meeting, and certainly moving forward there'll be a couple of more meetings this week and next week. So at this stage, the sector is meeting together to understand what they want to do moving forward. There was discussion around a statement of intent, and certainly they're looking to some agreement around what that would look like. And obviously New South Wales Police Force will have some involvement in that. So
when you say looking at sort of what they intend to do, would it be education? Is it potential there could be any sort of criminal ramifications?
At this point, the statement of intent covers a whole range of things, looking at protocols, educational aspects, and certainly we're working with them around supporting them if they have victims come forward to them, and providing referral pathways through to us and to health for treatment opportunities.
So if a 16-year-old girl came forward to say that she claimed she had been abused by a 17-year-old male, how does the system handle that?
Well, we determined that to be peer non-consensual. We certainly, like we would any other victim, hear the victim's version of events, encourage them to provide us with a statement if that's what they choose to do at that point. We do have a number of reporting pathways, whether it's directly to police, whether it's online. We have a sexual assault reporting option, which I think, Leigh, that not many people are aware of, but it's certainly an opportunity that they can provide information to police, whether that's providing their details or from an anonymous perspective. So we give the victim all of that information. We take that information away, obviously initiate the investigation, and then if we have enough to put that information to, say, the 17-year-old boy, that's where we would move to.
Where do you see the role of education, both at home and at school, in terms of the issue of consent?
Huge role, and again, it's something that we are all having conversations about, and they need to be courageous conversations both at home and at school around what consent looks like, what respectful relationships look like. And really, I think that's where we need to move to as in terms of a shift in not only from government perspective, but the judicial system around, well, let's be a little bit clearer around what consent looks like so we can explain that to our young people. But I think the starting point is respectful relationships. And being very clear that you need to ask for consent.
One of the things that deters women from coming forwards in instances of sexual violence is the fear that the process is really traumatic and that it's nearly impossible to secure a conviction. What would you say to those women?
Look, as I've said previously, Leigh, it's vitally important that we do get the information from victims, certainly from an intelligence perspective, because we certainly know that there are people out there, perpetrators, who target vulnerable people and continue to offend. Without that information, we won't know who those people are, and we certainly are looking at profiling people moving forward. We do that now, but certainly improving our profiling techniques. Victims need to be given opportunities for therapeutic options, and certainly I know they seek that outside of the New South Wales Police, but we certainly provide referral pathways there as well. And you know, the two things that go most to someone's well-being moving forward and as a survivor is that they are believed and that they do seek counselling, and then what that looks like post them for in terms of justice, whether it's a restorative justice and their story is heard or through the court system, is a matter for the victim, and certainly we will support them in whichever way they choose to go.
Victims' rights advocates have fought really hard during the past few decades to shift the focus from so-called victim blaming, for example, looking at how a woman was dressed, if she was drunk and so on. Do you think that community attitudes have shifted sufficiently on that?
I think there's a long way to go with that, and certainly we know that there's myths and misconceptions still that exist. Certainly, you know, the fact that a young female is out at night and has drunk some alcohol, there seems to be a view that there is risk that has then attached to the victim, and that's where the victim blaming comes from. But our view is that it should be squarely on the perpetrator, and that female should be able to do like everybody else does normally. And it's, you know, victim blaming is, whilst I think some people don't really understand what that looks like, they're naturally doing it because of their own unconscious bias.
Detective Superintendent, thank you.
Thanks, Leigh.
Hi, I'm Leigh Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.